Happy today. I am William Brown from IamWilliamBrown.com. This is Disconnect to Connect, one word conversations. Now, as our sponsor of the show is IamWilliamBrown.com, I usually do set an intention with my U card. So I want to share what my intentions for this today's show is using my U cards. And my U cards are a way of looking at um, how you're showing up for the day to see, kind of send a question to you to kind of see if you're going to show up as the card says or some of the things that are saying, or if there is something else going on behind that. So, in the I am orange card that I picked, I am enough. That has come up a couple times this week. So, I think someone's trying to tell me that I'm enough, right? Right. So, got it. You are full of joy is the you are card. And so I am. There has been a level of laughter and there's a level of joy that has come over me that in some cases that I can't explain, but I will soon be announcing some things that will let you know why. In order for me to do those things, I have to have a level of joy. And my quote card for the day, I love when I pick a card that I have used my own quote, and it says, Be you, do you, for you. And that is a reminder for myself on the daily. So you can get your own U cards at iamwilliambrown.com/store. And I would love for you to spend a little time with you. So today's word is kind. And when I picked this word the first time, I really was really with one direction, one thought, one train of thought until recently. And I think some of the things that have been happening, in the news and throughout our country, kind has been coming up in another way. And another way is what kind of person are you? What kind of person are you? Are the kind of a group, of saying. And there's a kind of people, because of our labels, that are showing up and that we need to hear. And so, without going too far into this conversation, because there's a number of ways that kind shows up for us, I'll invite my friend in so we can have a conversation. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, William.
This is the moment where I invite my guests to introduce themselves however it feels comfortable to them.
So, there are lots of ways to look at this person called Teddy Burriss. And I have a business, and that's a piece of how people look at me. My business is I'm a LinkedIn strategist. I teach people how to use LinkedIn as a business tool. Lots of different ways, and there's lots of different kinds of processes and activities and tasks and services related to Teddy Burriss, the LinkedIn strategist and trainer. Another way to look at me is how I strive to look at myself is in my community. And so I am a long-term resident of North Carolina, which means that there was a previous life where I was a Yankee from Maryland, and but I've been in North Carolina since 1997, and I contend this is home, as so do my wife and four daughters. But in my community, the kind of person I am is I volunteer a fair number of hours in the job search world. So I help my unemployed friends figure out how to find their next great job. I don't have jobs to dole out, but I help people figure out what kind of job is important to them.
Right.
The third way to look at me, besides business and my community, is as a person. I'm 62 years old this year. I think that's the math. Right about 60.
Right. After a while, you just stop
Married.
counting, right?
Yeah. After a while, yeah. So I've been married for 42 years, and again, at some point, we stopped counting there.
Right.
Um, my wife is Rebecca. She's a business partner in our company. Um, and I have four daughters, four son-in-laws, which I refer to as the stallions. And through those relationships, we've collected 12 grand wee wops. And as the patriarch, as the
Patriarch, right?
patriarch of that huge 22 person organization, I live a blessed life, and
I
I know it.
gotcha.
Yeah,
I got it.
yeah.
No, thank you for that. All of that. That is that is Teddy Burriss. So, how does the word kind land for you?
So, um, William, I studied a bunch of dead people,
Hmm.
like Dale Carnegie,
Hmm.
Ralph Waldo Emerson, Norman Vincent Peale. There's a couple other ones out there too, and I learned from those guys a variation of the word kind. It's empathy.
Hmm.
And for me, when I hear the word kind, I think that first thought I have is that, that I need to be kind to others because they're humans as well.
Right.
And I pretty much categorize us all as humans. There's no reason to categorize us any differently, in my opinion. But as humans, we all have stuff going on in our lives. I
Hmm.
have my stuff that I'm fairly in tune with. You have your stuff that you're in tune with.
Right.
And listeners to this video, this conversation, they have their own stuff. And so, I have to deal with my stuff my way. You have to deal with it your way. And there's a lot of overlap. I get it.
Right.
But because I don't know all the stuff that everybody else has going on in their lives, I've learned that the best way for me to help others, the best way is to understand that I don't understand
Hmm.
what's going on in their lives. And then the what I should do is be kind to them pretty much regardless of how they are being to me.
Hmm.
Pretty much careful, I'm being careful with
Right.
my words, pretty much regardless of how they're being to me, because I don't understand.
Right.
And
Yeah. Go ahead. No, I totally get that. It is a recognition that that we can't know everything, and sometimes in in my conversation around labels and to help see each other's humanity, I will use words like extending them grace. Grace is, you don't have to know everything or have an awareness of everything, but just a recognition that people are doing what they're doing, and we'll just kind of work through that and kind of figure it out. How
yeah,
kind works with me, and when I was, like I said, when I first looked at it, um, the there has been a call. I think for the last couple of years, I have a number of dear friends that do work in the kindness arena and encouraging people to to look for kindness, find kindness, and I think the way that kindness shows up for me is the more that I'm willing to stay in kind conversations, right? The more that I have that level of appreciation of our humanity. And so I don't subscribe to random acts of kindness, even though I understand
Yeah.
what that means, because I believe that there is an intentionality to kindness. I have to decide first. It's not
Mhm.
random. It may be random who gets it, who receives it,
Yeah.
but I have to. I don't just like kind of randomly in find myself being kind, right? Right, and I think sometimes people put too much attention or conditions around. I have to, be random, and I have to do all this other kind of stuff. But it's just you have to decide first. Am I going to be kind in this situation, like you were
Yeah,
talking about?
and I don't have on my calendar for 2 o'clock every Wednesday to be kind,
Right.
you know,
Right.
and I don't have an expectation that every time I drive by a panhandler on the street, I have to be kind. It's just, it's not. Um, for me, it's more of a frame of mind.
Hmm.
I think that, um, all the things that are worthwhile for us to be as humans needs to be something that we develop and nurture within ourselves on a regular basis. I'll give you an example. Often you ask people how they're doing, and they're going to use phrases like this: "I'm getting by.
Hmm.
I'm not dead yet."
Right.
Um, let's see how some of the other ones. Can't wait till Friday.
Right.
And those are, what's the right word? They're fake, you know, statements. Now, don't misunderstand me. I don't want people, if I ask them how they're doing and they're having problems or challenges, I don't want them to be overly glorious with happiness. However, if someone asks me how I'm doing, and I have enough of a relationship with that person to share exactly what I feel like sharing,
Right.
I'm going to say I'm doing unbelievably fantastic, hovering near ecstasy. And William, right now, it's not chemically induced.
Hmm. Right.
Now, I don't say that to everybody, and I don't
Right.
say it with the intent, for the most part, to mess with people's heads.
Right.
It comes back to this mindset thing I'm talking about being kind. The mindset I have for saying I'm unbelievably fantastic, hovering near ecstasy right now, is like chemically induced, is to tell this guy
Right.
that I have to be that way. So
Right.
it's a way to have fun, and it's a way to make the mindset, create a consistent mindset. Similarly with being kind.
Right. What do you think? Because this is a question that comes up, and I think this is a question for myself. But since since you're here too, you get it too. What do you think the biggest reason or challenge for people to just be kind?
Mm,
It is
yeah, I think I have a little idea. I don't want to misrepresent myself. I'm not a psychologist or psychiatrist. I don't understand human nature. I didn't study human nature beyond,
right.
reading on a regular basis. I just looked at my book I just read recently. It's relevant. It's called The Book of Joy.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Wow.
Why do people, if I heard the question right, why do people sometimes struggle with being kind?
Right.
In some cases, it's because they are not expecting others to accept it.
Hmm.
Why do people struggle with being kind? Sometimes they think that the person they're engaging with has a hidden agenda, or they think they'll be taken advantage of.
Right.
Um, here's a story. A few years ago, about, oh man, 6 or 7 years ago, when I really started volunteering in the helping the job seekers, a good friend of mine lost his job. Now, I hadn't talked to him in any meaningful way in 3 or 4 years. Note that, and no meaningful conversation, casual social engagement, casual, group hello kind of stuff. And so I called him up because I wanted to give him some ideas about how to, find a job. how to get into conversations. So I called him up. I said, dude, let's get together and do lunch. And he's hesitant. And I'm
Hmm.
like, I didn't get why he would be hesitant. And but I got him to agree to meet me at a sub shop in Winston-Salem, and we did lunch. But while we're ordering and while we're starting to eat, I could tell that he was very resistant.
Hmm.
And I just like I couldn't figure it out because we really had a long-term good relationship, working relationship for the most part.
Right.
And so I started, conversation started getting easier and easier and friendlier and friendlier. And at the end of it, I said, "Can I ask you a question? Why were you so hesitant to meet with me?" He said, "I thought you were going to try to sell me on some kind of MLM thing."
Wow.
And I'm like, "Man, have you ever known me to be in those industries?" Now, don't misunderstand me. I'm not dissing MLMs. It's just not
Right.
me.
Right.
And I said, man, I just wanted to get together and see how I could help you. He goes, now I get it. He said, I was just
Right.
afraid. And I think
Wow.
that I would take advantage of him. I think it's the
Right.
same thing with kindness.
Hmm.
People are afraid to be kind because they're afraid they may be taken advantage of.
Wow. No, I totally get that. There has been a number of starts and stops with MLMs for me, mainly because of that. It's because my I generally love to help people or be there for people or show
Mm.
that, and it's like when I say no strings attached, when you have a business attached to I want to help you or I want, I have delays, it just it got very messy for me very quickly. And so I totally get that we feel that it's almost like we're letting down our guards
Yeah,
to be kind, right?
yeah,
It's like you might think I'm a sucker or something, or
yeah,
something, or something, and not being able to gain the the benefit of a kind, gesture
yeah.
or person, or just having kindness in your heart in general or in your environment that we have so polluted is the word that's coming up to me
Yeah.
have polluted the power of kindness because there are so many other things that get connected to it. And so I totally get that. You have to be like on guard, and we miss the power of kindness because we're on guard.
So I show up to a lot of lately virtual job search groups. And
Hmm.
actually, it's gotten quite easier for me to do this volunteer work that I do. It used to be, I had a Monday group I'd go to in person. I had a once a month Wednesday group I'd go to in person. A Thursday group in the morning I'd go to in person every week. A Thursday afternoon every week. And now I'm doing these virtually, and it's way easier, and I can do more.
Right.
So
Wow.
it's a huge community of support groups across the country and beyond, and they're not highly connected, but there are a lot of tentacles that connect to different groups across the country.
Right.
One of the groups in Winston Salem told a group in LA that they should talk to me about being on their virtual meeting to help people. So they copied me on the email and to the person in LA, and I responded back to the thread and told the person in LA that I would love to have a conversation about how I could help. That I truly enjoy helping, and if there's to whatever extent I could be of use, I'm
Right.
offering my services. Well, he didn't respond for 2 or 3 days,
Hmm.
and I thought there was a little bit of urgency. So I emailed him back and said, "Hey, I know we all have a lot going on. I'd love to have a conversation with you about how I could help." And we eventually got on the phone, and the first conversation was all these conditions about how I could help,
Right. Wow.
and making sure there's no strings attached. He wanted to make sure I didn't promote my
Right.
business, didn't try to sell my book. And I said to him very clearly, I'm Teddy Burriss. My business lets me do what I do because I want to help. I promise you, there are no strings attached. There's no ads behind me. There will
Right.
never be an ad behind me. And after our first engagement, he became way more comfortable with me.
Hmm.
But as you referred to, he thought there may be strings attached.
Right. Wow. And it's kind of, I think what's coming up for me is like that's the randomness about it, right?
Yeah.
If you if I am kind randomly, then people can't find the strings. There's no it's like there's nothing. This person just did something nice. There's no I can't find it. There may be a string but I'm not aware of, but the randomness takes away I guess the rejection, the immediate rejection of it. And I just got that for myself, that I just really there was a time, one of my friends have kindness cards, or just kind of just to say, um, and I'll share in the comments later after the show, their links, the links of a couple of my friends that do work in kindness. But when I first had the intention of giving out these cards, I was trying to figure out how I can do it without them knowing it was from me.
Yeah.
And then it was like, wait a minute. In some cases, I want some kind brownie points for this. So I do want them to know it's from me. So it's like all these things are happening, in my head. It's like, dude, just give out the damn card, right? I mean,
Right.
it's
Yeah.
just like, and really, not wanting the strings, but recognizing that there's strings and all that other kind of stuff. And and I was missing just being kind,
Yeah.
just showing up as kind, just having someone feel that they're not alone in, their current situation.
Yeah.
And that was what it was, all about at the end. And I gave out so many cards, so randomly. I forgot. And it's like when someone says, "Oh yeah, I get this card and all this kind of stuff," and I'm just trying to remember, is that one of my cards or not? It's like, oh, okay, it's like, I don't know. It's like, but it was just kind of, it was great to see the kindness and the smiles and the benefit of just doing whatever you're going to
Do
do
it.
and not
Yeah.
worry about
Yeah.
anything else.
So I like that. You want some kindness brownie points.
Right,
I'm
right,
good with that. Let
right.
me share with you my philosophy about my brownie points. I want them as well,
Hmm.
and I don't. I'm not. Um, for the most part, my kindness is just it happens. Whatever it is, it
Right,
happens.
right.
In the context of my volunteer work in the job search world, that is very purposeful.
Hmm.
Very purposeful. It is first and foremost to help people. That's no argument. I will never contradict that. It is to help people. Secondarily, it is to help people with no expectations of those our brownie points.
Right.
However, I know the brownie points are real.
Hmm.
I know they're real. I don't expect them, but I know they happen. And I call it lead with give, lead
Right.
with give, lead with being kind. And it's important to do with no expectations. I'm showing up here because you asked me to show up, dude.
Right.
You said let's have a conversation. I have no expectations of any brownie points. Okay. Oh,
Right.
wait a minute. Pun intended. Okay. No
You got
expectations.
them right.
What I know, it happens. And there's lots of philosophical statements behind that. Do unto others as you'll have them do unto you. It comes back to you, those parables in the Bible about tenfold. My statement is you lead with give,
Right.
with no expectations. Call it life, God, or karma. my phone is going to ring today. I'm going to get an email from somebody today. By the way, total transparency. I did get an email as I was preparing to come on with you that I had to tell her I'd call her back. And she texts me back and she says, "No hurry. I might have work for you." Brownie points, dude.
Right, brownie bros.
But you have to do it with no expectations,
Right,
and you have to do it with no hesitancy.
right,
And one more point on this: if I get a text message from someone that says I want to talk business, or an email, or a phone call, or a voicemail, and
right,
I get a at about the same time I get a voicemail from someone who says they want my help. Do you want to
right.
guess which one I'm going to respond to first?
Hmm. The help.
I have to, man. I have
Right.
to. Now, I'm
I
not
got
going
it.
to get myself so distracted that I can't get back to that opportunity for revenue because
Right,
I got to pay my bills.
right,
But I'm going to respond to the person who asked for help first. And I'm going to arrange a conversation for us to talk deeper about how I can help them
right. I
or,
got it.
or figure out what it is.
Right,
So, yeah, it's lead with give with no expectations. The phone
right,
will ring.
right. That's the kind of guy you are, right?
It's the kind of guy I try to be, William.
Absolutely. I get it. Hey, is there such a thing? Because I've been balancing this or trying to figure out this and spending way too much time on this. Um, is there such a thing of being too kind?
Mm. Wow. The answer is absolutely yes, but I'm just trying to think through context of why. Why is it yeah? Well, first of all, I mean, if I have four daughters, and if I want to be an uber inappropriately kind dad, they wouldn't pay
Right,
any bills.
right,
So that
right,
ain't smart, you know. Uh,
right,
there's another type of being too kind, and that is example. I was involved in a conversation recently on social media where someone shared a piece of third party content that they thought was interesting, but it was disrespectful to the current um, political and cultural challenges going on in life today
right,
in June of 2020. And another lady saw it and she shared that she thought it was disrespectful and inappropriate at this time. The first lady was like, "I don't get it." Now, I could have stayed, I was already in the conversation, but I could have stayed out of um, sharing with the first lady who posted that that may not have been a wise thing to do. If I was to be over kind, I could have said, "Hey, I'm glad you shared that perspective, even though it was disrespectful to this party."
hmm,
Um, and I just thought the right thing to do was to let her know privately,
hmm, hmm,
that I thought that post was a little insensitive to the other parties involved. And this is my opinion. And I just think you
right,
should think through that. And you can make your own decisions, but I want you to know I think that really hurt that other party.
right,
I think that kindness used inappropriately, I wouldn't have said anything.
hmm,
I also think that kindness used properly and privately was the right thing for me to do. Now,
right.
notice the words
Got
I
it.
use. The way I use these words, I think.
Right,
And I
right,
went at it very sincerely, wanting to help the first person stop trampling on her relationship with the other person.
right,
And I had no agenda for Teddy other than for these two not to do this.
right. Because that would have caused a disconnection and all kind of other things that happen so easily, not just in this climate that we're in now, but in our relationships and
Yeah.
our lives. It just, something will happen that, we're not, we call ourselves being kind by staying out of it, right? But sometimes the kindness shows up in that private conversation, in those moments of allowing people to find out for themselves
Yeah.
how this is, insensitive or not appropriate, or of, the timing is off. And I think as adults,
Oh,
sometimes
look,
I
don't
don't
put that label on me.
right, the adult label. I did a show a couple almost a month ago, and the word was adult, and it's like, we have this way of thinking that after we turn a certain age, we are magically adults, right? And we get all this information. We don't get the handbook, but it's just osmosis. We should get all of this stuff, and now we have to show up as that. But too often, that's not how many of us
Yeah,
show up.
yeah,
But I really think the what I label as an adult conversation is a conversation that we're willing to stay into, even in its difficulty, even when
yeah.
it's tough, that
Right.
we really can kind of work through it. I think children or kids, say something and just, maybe forget it, or or there's a fight, or there's a there's a rumble, and then it's not, and then it's like 2 minutes later they're playing again. It's like,
Yeah.
weren't you fighting, right? And it's like, but it is with adults, we don't have the conversation, so we just deal with it or not deal with it
Mm,
forever.
yeah, yeah. You
And
know,
so
you pegged something else, or just in that context, I grabbed, and that is, kindness doesn't have to always. No, kindness shouldn't always be outward.
right,
If I only get one of these bodies. Okay, I only get one journey, as far as I know, through this
right,
world. I kind of hope there's another journey, though. Wouldn't it be cool?
right.
You
Yeah,
know,
that would be cool, right?
it would be even really cooler if I can just remember one little nugget of what I learned over the,
Right.
go, don't make that dumb mistake. But
Right.
you only get one journey, and so and this is in life. Remember, it's life, which is all inclusive of business and community and family and all of that stuff. And so you have to figure out a way to be kind to yourself
Right.
in lots of different ways. And I'm not just talking about health and mental health, physical health, relationship health, financial health. All of those play a role, and they all can't be perfect. It all
Right.
can never be perfect. I mean, I think it's a horrible word. My Toastmasters coach used to tell me, if I ever hear you say the word perfect, or that's what's the other word she hated? It starts with E. I can't remember, but it's sort of like, oh, perfect. Excellent,
Right.
excellent.
Excellent.
She said, I ever hear you, I'm gonna charge you a quarter. But
Right.
but go back to the self. We have to be kind to ourselves as we bump our toes, as we make
Right.
those mistakes, as
Right.
we choose incorrectly, um,
Right.
as we journey in directions that didn't work out or we knew we shouldn't have gone. Now, kindness to ourselves is not go, that's okay, Teddy.
Right.
No big deal, Teddy. I
Right.
think kindness to ourselves is acknowledgement that, Teddy, it was not the right thing to do. It wasn't a smart journey to go on. It wasn't a smart decision.
Right.
Kindness also takes us to the next step,
Hmm.
where Teddy says to himself, dude, let's talk about this.
Right.
And let's
Hmm.
figure out, how do we adjust? How do we correct? And how do we, achieve a better result in the next steps?
Right. Wow. No, I totally get that. Really, because as I said before, there is, kind occurred to me as letting people off the hook, right? And it was like letting myself off the hook, saying that, hey, you're only human, right? What are you gonna do, right? But really having kindness be that, hey, this is not how you want to show up. This is, this, let's look at why this happened. Let's think of why we're doing this. the more that kindness of yourself allows you to show up differently. And I think that's what extending that kindness to other people. And it's like from the story that you mentioned about the person that you had lunch with, because of your kindness, the inquiry of why that was there difficulty in this, it caused him to change and kind of show up differently, and not think every lunch invitation is a an MLM recruitment, right? They may be, but many of them are just people wanting to be there for you, help you through a next level of being your best self.
Yeah.
And if we can extend that level of kindness to ourselves first and to other people, wow, the world would be such a different place.
I you ever heard of the? You ever been a part of Rotary?
No, I've spoken at a couple and I've visited a couple clubs, but I have never been a member.
Rotary has a thing called the four-way test.
Okay.
I'm gonna bring it up on my screen. I'm not gonna share it. I'm just gonna bring it up so I can read it, so I don't read it inappropriately because I
Okay.
can't remember the exact words.
Okay.
Um, but it's called the four-way test, and the way the four-way test really, and every time I say it, I remind myself and others that this is a Rotary statement.
Hmm.
And here's how it goes: the four-way test. Is it the truth?
Hmm.
Is it fair to all concerned? Third one, will it build goodwill and better friendships? And the last test, will it be beneficial to all concerned? And when I read that, um, it's a great style, and I've got it printed out. I've got to get it to one of my daughters who has a creek cut. You know what a creek cut thing is? It cuts
Yep.
stencil. And I got in front of me this huge white wall where my lights reflect back. But I want to put that four-way test right across the top there. Because
Wow.
by the way, I do need to be reminded of that, on a
Hmm.
regular basis. Because I'm not, I am human.
Right.
But that conversation about, is it fair? Is it true? Does it build goodwill and friendships? And is it beneficial? That those play into, are you being kind?
Hmm.
And I don't know who the Rotary dude is who came up with it, but he was some smart dude,
Right.
you know.
Right.
Uh,
It's all of the things that I um, are available to us if we are willing to seek it. If we are willing to open ourselves up, be open to it. That was how I started this week, and just really, not just accept reality, but acknowledge what is so. Then you can be kind to yourself, right?
yeah,
And then you can, then move into whatever comes up next after that level of kindness.
yeah,
And I think finding the language for what's true, what's fair, what's building, and just really kind of asking yourself that.
yeah,
I think, as you said, first to yourself, and then you can extend it to the other. It goes back to the scriptures that were referred to.
yeah,
Love your neighbor like you love yourself.
yeah,
Be kind to others. As you
yeah,
want them to be kind to you. All of those things that are a part of my understanding of getting to know yourself better.
yeah,
And I think too often in our society or in our culture, we think the awareness of self is selfish, right? And it's like oh, you're focusing on yourself, but and I'm starting to believe the more that we understand, appreciate who we are, the more that we can be available to our loved ones and the people that we're in contact with
mhm,
and make the difference in the world that we want.
yeah. I'm with you. Um, I it for me. kindness is not a huge task.
Hmm.
It's just, you know, and it's not every moment. I mean, it's not like every moment I got to stop doing what I'm doing as I'm trying to build my business and go off and be kind.
Right.
It's just a mindset. It's
Right.
just a mindset that when I'm engaging with someone in any way and always, and by the way, don't misunderstand me, I make huge mistakes at this.
Right.
I've been married for 42 years and I'm slowly getting better at being a husband.
Right. I
But
I got
it's
28
yeah,
going
it's just
on.
a mindset, and it's and you know, the old phrase that people use is that practice makes perfect.
Hmm.
That's not true.
Right.
My Dale Carnegie coach taught me that practice makes permanent.
Hmm. Wow. Right.
And so the more you practice a little bit of kindness here and there, a little bit of empathy here and there, a little bit of sharing and understanding and support here and there, the more you practice that stuff and do it within the context of your life that you can do while you're not missing out on doing the other things that are also important to you,
Right.
it in my book it becomes a permanent philosophy.
Right.
Not perfect,
Right.
but but also continuously improving.
Right.
Yeah.
And I believe, as I agree with all of that, is that it starts within a conversation. That practice is within a conversation. Then it turns into your actions. And the more that we are willing to stay in the kindness conversations and how that's showing up in our lives and how that's showing up for other people and just trying to figure that out, then it becomes permanent. It becomes it becomes our buddy. It hangs around, right? We become familiar, family, right? And it is then I think the people that we reach out to will look to us of saying, oh, I know Teddy, you know, even if you were doing an MLL business at one point, I know Teddy first would care about me. Before he talks about business at all, he'd be more concerned with what's going on in my life. So because that's how it gets permanent in our life. It becomes not just a badge, but it becomes us because we are kind. We don't just show up and do kind.
Yeah.
We are.
So
Yeah.
you said I'm going to reveal this in a second.
Okay.
That
I can't see it, so
now I know all you see is yellow, right?
yes. All I see is okay. So it's like I can't
Yeah,
see any
yeah.
words. Right.
So
Okay.
all of this that we're talking about. Come on, focus,
Okay.
focus. Oh, come on! It all starts with a conversation.
Right. Wow.
That's what I'm trying to show. My business card. I wasn't promoting my business. My
Right.
business card very clearly says the print's too daggone small. It
Right.
all
It's
starts with a
trying.
conversation.
It's working hard, and I say within my business, everything is possible within the conversation. So
Yeah, yeah,
and but it has to start there. Man, we could talk about this for hours. However, I'm sure there are some conversations and some kindness that are looking to show up today, right?
yeah, yeah.
Um, is there any like last words, or is there anything that's coming up from this conversation that we're having?
Um, it's a reminder to me, William, first and foremost. So thank you for helping me. It's a reminder to me that I have to nurture and develop that kindness in me
Hmm.
in every way I can and should. And so again, I appreciate you bringing me into this conversation. I'm not one of these guys that says everybody needs to change their ways and stop being this and stop being that. That's not how I think.
Hmm.
But I do often remind myself and hope that others will adopt a mindset that kindness, being kind, and doing kind things can have a positive, huge impact on
Hmm.
our
Yeah.
lives, let alone the
Right.
people that we offer any type of kindness to through our
Right.
lifestyle.
Right. No, I so much appreciate that. I put up your website and they can connect with you on LinkedIn. I so appreciate this conversation, my friend.
Yeah. Ditto.
Um,
Thank you. Thank you for bringing me in.
I'm going to put you back in the green room as I end the show, and I'll if you're able, we'll say our goodbyes from there.
Okay, buddy.
Okay. Wow. Thank you. It's really interesting within these conversations, where they go and where they stay. Um, it's like really I got that for myself that I don't just perform kind acts, but I am kind. And the more that I embrace that, the more that I see that within myself and have those conversations within myself, not letting myself off the hook, but allowing myself to really recognize how I want to show up and how I want to be on this journey that I'm on. Me being kind will show up, and as I mentioned throughout the show, there's a number of my dear friends that are in this work of kindness that I'm going to share within this feed and in the recording. But yeah, the first thing I ask for you to be kind to yourself, and then your kindness will do nothing but be out and be available to your loved ones and to the world. Remember, the world wants you, the world needs you, and the world is waiting for you. So go be you. Have a great rest of the day, and I will see you tomorrow at 11 a.m.